For 4 years now, the Nintendo Switch has taken the game industry by storm. Featuring lots of great first-party, third-party, and indie games, the handheld home console hybrid has been a big success, and one of Nintendo's most successful consoles of all time. That said, it's about freaking time I made this list already. While I haven't played all of the great major releases on the Switch, I have played enough now to where I can give a solid, honest top 10 list of my favorites. And that's what this is, my good people. My personal favorite games that I have played on the system. No need to get upset if your favorite game didn't make the list, or perhaps made it and isn't quite as high as you want it to be. After all, if everyone had the same list in the same order, these videos would get pretty boring, wouldn't they? Well, in theory anyway. Oh yeah, one more thing. There's no Wii U ports on this list. They are, you know, Wii U games after all. All that nonsense aside, let's do it! My top 10 favorite Nintendo Switch games, let's go! Oh my, what on earth is this masterpiece doing all the way down at number 10? Look, Breath of the Wild is amazing, tremendous, groundbreaking, game-changing, and a whole bunch of other complimentary adjectives, but it wasn't my favorite game ever. That said, I really have enjoyed what I've played of it. Although I have to shamelessly admit that I have not finished it, because I quite simply don't have as much time these days to play video games. But I also think there's a little bit of the game not retaining my interest as much as it could have. This is purely subjective. I know most people who have played it couldn't put it down, and while I have to say the exploration is absolutely phenomenal, and little things like cooking and exploring the nooks and crannies of the world are very intriguing, I've found that I was missing the dungeons, the intricate puzzle solving, and the story just didn't grip me like other Zelda games. The game was still very fun, and I definitely found myself getting sucked in quite a bit when I did play it, so for that I had to include it on this list. Perhaps I'll have to get back to this one at some point soon, and give a more thorough opinion. Oh no, another big one, and only at number 9! Look, undoubtedly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the greatest Smash Bros. Game ever. The amount of love, attention to detail, and just sheer amount of characters and content that Sakurai-san and his team have put into this game is just mind-boggling. The hype and intense anticipation from fans about what characters are going to be in this game, well, it's just been unparalleled, and there's no doubt that this is the most ambitious crossover in gaming history. On a personal note, this game brought a lot of attention to my channel, and I am eternally grateful for that with all the Smash content I was doing. But that said, and look, I'm gonna be super honest here guys, I'm burnt out on Smash. Since the very first game in the series up until now, it seems like I've been playing this series forever. Well, actually, it's been over 20 years, and it feels pretty non-stop. And while I love Ultimate, and it feels like the culmination of everything I have ever wanted from the series, I just find that my interest in it has really gone downhill since its release. Part of it is that I'm not a big fan of the actual physics of the game. I just can't acclimate to it as well as I did the other games for some reason. And I definitely prefer the Wii U version in that regard. However, the other part of it is that I think I overhyped and covered this game way too extensively, and ultimately, get it? You know, ultimate, like a pun. Anyway, enough of that. I just don't play it much these days. All that said, I still really like this game, and of course, it had to make the top 10. Bug Fables is the best Paper Mario in years. Seriously. Okay, I know it's not technically Paper Mario, but it's of course in that style and incorporates many elements of the first two games. Although there are many similarities to those games, it's not a carbon copy, and has its own unique world, story, characters, and mechanics. Bug Fables' battle system expands upon the formula of the first two Paper Mario games, in what feels like what the logical next step that they should have taken with the Paper Mario games, had Nintendo not effed them all up after Thousand Year Door. The inclusion of the 3 playable characters, V, Kabu, and Leaf, look at these little cuties, seriously I love these guys, each with their own unique attributes and abilities, really added a lot to strategizing in battles. Also, be warned, Get it? Bzz, B. Yeah, anyway. More dad puns coming. This is not an easy game by any means. It at times can be quite challenging, and there's a hard mode. Yeah, a hard mode, and believe me, it's hard enough on normal mode. Bug Fables is a really charming game, and I found myself really falling in love with the characters, the story, and the world. Moonsprout Games, sequel please, or Nintendo, let these guys make a Paper Mario game. They'd honestly probably do a better job than you are right now. Spooky Ghosts! Man, what an awesome game. Seriously, this franchise really needed a resurrection in my opinion. And this has to be the best Luigi's Mansion ever. It's gorgeous, first of all, and I love that the mansion is really just an enormous hotel with lots of different rooms and a whole bunch of new mechanics. The Poltergust has received an upgrade, such as shooting plungers at objects to pull them down, or the slam attack, which is supremely satisfying to beat the undead plasma out of those pesky ghosts. Particularly, I love Guigi, and the way that he can be utilized to get to hard-to-reach areas. There's lots of great exploration too, and a real incentive to get as many collectibles as possible. I think this is probably the strongest game in the series thus far, and a welcome return to form for the series. I also really love Luigi's expressions and reactions to things that happen to him. It's so funny. I have always been a big Luigi fan, so it's great to see him once again return in his own adventure. Link's Awakening is such a hoot. Yeah. Seriously, if you haven't been paying attention, I've been streaming this entire game on my channel with my wife Rachel on and off now since it was released. So yeah, we've been streaming it for like a year and a half or something. Yeah, gotta get on that. We actually just recently, as of the recording of this, just got to the very end of the game and cracked the egg, finally! This was an awesome remake of the very first Zelda game I ever played way back in the 90s on my cousin's Game Boy. I love the upgraded graphics and the sort of cute, shiny, chibi style, and the game looks visually very bright and vibrant. It's an awesome return to form for the sort of top-down Zelda format that I just adore. And Grezzo really outdid themselves, as they have done with the series since A Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. I have had such a great time streaming this game, and perhaps most of my positive associations with it are because of that, but I genuinely think that it's an objectively great remake. Although it's relatively short, it's a very faithful remake, and I really can't fault for the developers for trying to be accurate. Overall, awesome, wonderful, excellent, hoot! This is a game that everybody cried and complained about when it was revealed, and boo-hoo, wah, wah, wah. And then guess what? They were pleasantly surprised by it when it was released. Well, at least I know I was. As a person who grew up with the series from the get-go, get it? Get-go? Like, let's go, alright. I was so excited for this, as it literally fulfilled a childhood dream I had oh so long ago when I was a wee lad. I always wanted to see the Pokemon world in full 3D, on a console, and the fact that the original game, Gen 1, was the first game in the series to do this filled me with pure joy, wonder, and fuzzy nostalgia. When I first got into Viridian City and heard that lovely orchestrated version of that old tune, I felt tears of joy, a bittersweet feeling of a childhood far behind, but of old memories forever cherished, and it felt like I had come home. Alright, enough of that sappy junk. Although it is all true. Look, I know this isn't the most challenging Pokemon game. I know it strips away a lot of the things that modern fans love, like the EV and IVs, the wild battles, and breeding. But I like that it kind of went back to basics. It did bring about a few welcome changes as well, in my opinion. Aside from the pretty graphics and incredible soundtrack, yes, incredible, I like that Pokemon could now be seen on the field before encountering them, and I honestly like that wild battles were scrapped. Did people really miss them? I can't even begin to understand why. They were quite tedious. While the Pokemon Go mechanics weren't something I was totally in love with, I give credit for trying something different, although it's an already established mechanic, so yeah, fair point to you retractors. Still, I was fine with it, and it did not detract from my experience. In fact, the two-player mechanic was great. I enjoyed passing a Joy-Con over to my niece or nephew and trying to catch that elusive Abra. Ever the slippery one, that. Either way, I'm rambling here. Bottom line, I loved Pokemon Let's Go. Splatoon. Let's just say it. Stay fresh! Yeah, stay fresh indeed. Splatoon 2 is probably the game I played the most of any on this list. And for good reason. Although I didn't think that the game brought a ton new to the franchise, indeed it was essentially the first game with a new coat of paint. Get it? Paint? You know, Splatoon, ink, paint. Forget it. I thought there were some nice little quality of life improvements, such as being able to switch out equipment after a match. I also think that the controls felt a little tighter, and I overall loved being able to play it in handheld mode. A couple of little things are certainly a little lacking, such as the music, which I feel was far superior in the first game. And alas, my beloved squid jumping game from the first Splatoon is gone. Why would you do that? Curses! I still felt that Splatoon 2 was an overall improvement of the first game, and a nice step in the right direction. I had lots of fun at Splatfests and playing with friends, particularly that final Splatfest, Chaos vs. Order. Chaos reigns supreme. Ha 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 ha! Although I do hope they add more to the online play in Splatoon 3. As to not create a carbon roller or copy. I'm sorry, the dad puns are just gonna keep coming, sorry. I don't apologize, actually. This is, unequivocally, the greatest JRPG that I have played in many years, darling. Look, Dragon Quest XI is a game that was pushed quite hard by Nintendo in 2019, between Nintendo Directs, Hero being included in Smash, and lots of people online reviewing the game. I don't know, I guess some of that must have worked on me because I downloaded the demo and got hooked on the game pretty quickly. I eventually ended up picking it up and just completely fell in love with it. The characters are varied and have such vibrant personalities, and I found that I was very easily sucked into the story and the world. It gave me that classic JRPG experience that I haven't had in many years, since games like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII in the late 90s. Except in a fully fleshed out and vibrant world in glorious HD. Dragon Quest XI's story is constantly taking different twists and turns, with epic scenarios that really make you feel like you're on a grand adventure, with characters you become emotionally invested in. I don't mind admitting that this game brought me to tears several times, as some of the things that the characters go through are absolutely gut-wrenching, and sometimes beautiful. I personally love Eric, Rab, Veronica, and the amazing, hilarious Sylvando Honey. The combat is the classic turn-based battle system that Dragon Quest games are known for, with loads of customization options for strategizing in battles. Overall, I simply adore this game, and I highly recommend it to anyone interested in a great JRPG. Today, I am making a declaration. Not only are Moon Studios' Ori games absolutely gorgeous with a beautiful, unique art style, think Disney meets Studio Ghibli, but aesthetically, they are my favorite of all time. The lush backgrounds, foregrounds, the way that the team uses light and shadow, and the overall attention to detail make these, frame by frame, the most visually stunning games I've ever played. Add a truly atmospheric and whimsical soundtrack with solid mechanics and gut-wrenching emotional cutscenes, and you have two of the best games that I have played in the last decade or so. Plus, look at Ori and its pals. What a bunch of cuties. I love them. The Metroidvania genre has really flourished in recent years, particularly on the Switch, with games like Hollow Knight and Axiom Verge, and to me, the Ori games are the absolute pinnacle of what that genre has done in recent years. I picked up Ori and the Blind Forest on sale on a whim, and found myself completely sucked in by it. When Will of the Wisps was announced, I then picked it up immediately, and found that it expanded upon a lot of what the first game did, adding equipable items and new mechanics. I just had an amazing time with these games, couldn't put them down, and I also just couldn't separate the two, which is why it's a 2-for-1 special for the number 2 spot here. 2 games at number 2, you see, and they're very similar, so they deserve it. But yeah, I eagerly await a third entry. Love, love, love the Ori games. Let's do the Odyssey. Okay, perhaps this isn't the most shocking pick in the world for the #1 spot, but regardless, I absolutely loved Super Mario Odyssey. I personally think it is the best 3D Mario platformer since Super Mario 64, and I just had a blast with it. When it came out, I did a full Let's Play, which you can probably look at. Here's a tag somewhere. And I had a great time visiting the various kingdoms, collecting the moons, and exploring the worlds. The Cappy mechanic was such a brilliant idea, and it was so much fun taking possession of all kinds of different creatures, from Goombas and Bullet Bills to an enormous ferocious T-Rex. The game has so much replayability, it's bananas. Okay, I think there's bananas in it, I don't remember. Anyway, with a total of 999 moons to search for, it's impossible not to want to search every little nook and cranny to see where one may be hiding. I personally felt that the controls were really tight and easy to master, and the different kingdoms were so creative and well done. Visually, it's the best looking Mario game yet, and the varied worlds really showcase this. In short, Super Mario Odyssey is unique, addictive, and of course, really fun. Obviously, why else do we play video games, people? Perhaps the best Mario game of the last couple decades, which is why it is my super awesome, mega, ultra, mango tango, woo, great, #1 favorite Switch game. Yahoo! Mario's #1! And that's all she wrote, folks. What are your top 10 Switch games? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks everyone for watching the video. I will have links to some other fun top 10 videos on my channel at some point at the end here, so, you'll see it either here or in a couple seconds. So be sure to check those out. Also, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And since I don't really promote them enough, check out my Discord and my Twitter, which will be linked below. The Discord's really fun. Twitter, I don't really tweet a lot, but I try to tweet some interesting things occasionally, so yeah, give me a follow on Twitter. Until the next video, peace everybody.